gonna switch to a different deck, something that I think is a little more competitive right now. It's a second wind Skellige list. We're running tactical advantage because sometimes we want to put out great sword and make sure that it doesn't get killed on the first turn, or the dagger 2 blades. We have we'll start at the bottom here and work our way up. We have 2 savage bears as filler cards, same with stunning blows. We have 1 trophy catch here. As I explained in my video yesterday, I opt to run this instead of a Hammond because the Hammond is 8 provisions, and yes, it does give you the points and the bleeding, but trophy catch is just a cheap filler, and it allowed us to get Sigurdriff as right and dagger 2 blades into this list while not sacrificing any of the other top end cards. We have 2 Corsairs because we're running 4 ships, so we can, and even if they remove the Corsair immediately, it still plays for 5 provisions, so it's just a good card. On-crate Longship is a Skellige staple right now. It demands removal, otherwise the damage really starts adding up over the course of a round. We've got this Dim and Light Longship, so we can put them down ideally before these on-crate Greatswords. That way, when we put the Greatsword on the board, we can ping something with the Longship and get this out of range of cards like Natural Selection and Tourney Joust. We have 2 Freya's Blessing, mainly to bring back the Greatsword. We can use them to bring back the Longship if we need a little more proactivity, but almost every time we get Greatswords with those. Giga Scorpion Decoction, pretty standard, same with Delirium. Alchemy cards are good for the synergy with Crow Mother, because every round you can bring her back by playing an alchemy card. Grimace for the Purify, it's good to get around defenders. It's good to remove poison. We've got Sigurdriff as right, as mentioned earlier, to combo with the dagger 2 blades. So with the Sigurdriff as right and running second wind and these Freya's Blessings, you get a total of, let's see, you can get 4 greatswords and you can get 3 dagger 2 blades with second wind and Sigurdriff as right. So your opponent is probably going to get pretty sick of you seeing, or of seeing you put these units on the board where they get boosted whenever an enemy takes damage. And then, of course, we run these finishers to boost those units up by a hefty amount at the end of round 3. Damaged enemy unit by 1, repeat until target is damaged. So against tall units, this will just skyrocket your dagger 2 blades into extremely high point territory. We've got Royal Decree to just get any of our top end out that we need here. Wild Boar of the Sea is arguably the best card in the game after its recent buff. They turned it into an Akvist boat. You damage all enemy units by 1. Or, sorry, you damage all damaged enemy units by 1, then you damage all units by 1 again. So if you can whittle some targets down with the Longships, then you're going to be in even better shape for this Wild Boar of the Sea. And then we have the Hemdall, because it's it usually plays for a pretty good amount. It's an 8-point body for 12 provisions, and it plays at 1-for-1 provisions if you can get 4 enemy units in a row, which is pretty easy at the end of the 3rd round. So let's get into a game and see what we queue up against. The big downside of this deck right now is that there's a lot of Skellige on the ladder because it just recently got a huge buff, so we're probably going to see decks that are teched against it, just like that last deck that I was playing. I made it with this exact deck I'm playing now in mind, and it's designed to counter it, but unfortunately we haven't run into that yet while we're streaming. And we run into Nilfgaard first try. Alright, that's unfortunate. At least it's not enslaved Nilfgaard, so maybe this won't be bad. We've got a great sword and the dagger. We will keep those. We've got a ship with the Corsair and a Royal Decree and a Blessing. This is an extremely well balanced hand. I'm actually not going to use any of my mulligans. Yeah, I'm not going to use any of my mulligans because we're just going to Royal Decree into the Crow Mother so that we can make sure we're getting those recurring points after the first round.
Oh dear. Have I something in my teeth?
Yeah, I've got a feeling that we're going to have a good amount of poison on our hands. Got some good old-fashioned toxic Nilfgaard lockdown. For any that aren't familiar, this deck is low in points generally in the cards that they play, but it's just designed to be super oppressive and not allow you to play anything. Hopefully they don't run Vigo's Muzzle to steal our Crow Mother. That's definitely something that we're scared of. Bless you. That sneeze was from my little baby here, little Brianna. She's my #1 cheerleader. Watching me play right now. She's been awfully good. She's been awake the whole time and not crying or wanting all the attention. Okay, so here I guess we're gonna greatsword and make him remove it. He's probably just gonna lock it. If he locks it, that really sucks. If he outright removes it, then we can bring it back with a Freya's Blessing if need be. But we're trying to stay ahead of him here. We're up 17 to 14. Yep, that's kind of what I expected. Come on, go ahead and kill it. Okay. Yep.
Come on, stalkers.
We knew that was a possibility. Really not much to be done about it. But that's okay. Gotta mute my mic again, phone call.
I am no Nilfgaardian.
Magic dice. This world dies with it.
Not a bad case of Roland's back.
Okay, sorry about that. As I mentioned earlier, my fiance is doing our marriage papers, so she keeps running into more snags. It's an arduous process. Okay. Well, I think I want to play the dagger here. We don't have second wind, so we have to be a little more careful about when we play it, actually. No, we'll... it looks like he's really adamant about getting the round control here, rightfully so, because you really can't give the round control to Skellige and expect to win. So maybe we'll see what he pulls. Okay, Amara, maybe that'll give us a chance to trade up one more card.
We dance. For young is the night.
You know what? We do have the Sigurdriffas, so we're going to go ahead and play this. Again, round control is extremely important for Skellige. So, I'm sorry, if I don't know if the stream quality drops whenever I click over to my second monitor, but I had to write some stuff to my wife on Facebook, so I'm sorry if you took an FPS hit there. Okay, Maral is probably going to signify a pass, because we don't have a way to kill it, and he's going to take out our dagger. So there's really not much point in us playing in any further. It's a little bit unfortunate. Kind of surprised to see him running Morale. This card recently got nerfed to be 10 provisions instead of 9. But like I said, this Nilfgaard list is just designed to be ultra toxic and not let you do what you want to do. Yeah, we'll give him the pass. We still have a lot of power cards in here. He had a pretty costly round. The Sweers and the Asire and the Morale are oh, and he Royal Decreed and modded, so he committed a lot of golds, and we were able to keep up with him pretty well. Just bronzes. Okay, perfect. We have the we drew really well here. We're gonna throw away the Stunning Blow, and we will keep the Longship. That's probably what we'll play if he just dry passes and lets us have the round on one card. Yeah, I believe so. It's either the Freyas or the Longship, but in case he has a way to lock the dagger, I really don't want to play the Freyas because we will need to get access to our second greatsword here. So we're going to play the Longship and go into round 3. It's really unfortunate that he got round control on us, so he's going to get last say. But maybe with the Grimace to be able to purify poisons and locks off, we'll be okay, because we do have 2 alchemy cards already, and we'll probably draw into 1 more. Okay, Longship, that's good. We're going to throw away the Stunning Blow. It's not very good against Nilfgaard. That is exactly what we wanted to see. I could throw away this Longship and try to get a Delirium or a Freya's Blessing or maybe even a Hemdall. I think I'm going to do that because I don't think this list runs Tourney Joust, so getting this out of Tourney Joust range immediately isn't particularly relevant. Yeah. Oh, yep. That's the risk of running Trophy Catch. I mean, it could be worse. We might, in a long round here with 8 cards, we might get some value out of it, especially if he runs a Fion in this list to play something like a Stefan Bribery. We're probably going to go ahead and Sigurd Driffa's early. Nah. We'll Greatsword first and try to make him waste locks or removal on the Greatsword. And then we'll get our Grimace down to purify any poisons or locks he puts on it.
Just a peek. That is all I need.
Okay. Man, this is a tough call. So I kind of want to Trophy Catch that back, just so that we're not getting pinged with every card we play. I feel like that's, yeah, by the time it's all said and done, that'll end up being a 5 or 6 point play, because he's not getting this 1 damage every time we play like our Greatsword or our Boar or Grimace or Morkvarg. So that's not a bad trade-off. Now we can play our Greatsword into the ranged row. He has 2 units up there, so we'll be able to boost it up if he doesn't do something about it. Again, hopefully no Viggo's Muzzle, but if he's got it, he's got it. For those of you that don't know, Viggo's Muzzle is a card that allows you to lock and steal any card under 5 provisions. It's a card that people are running to counter Greatsword strategies. If he just has a poison or a lock for it, we have this Grimace, so we'll be able to purify it, bring it back. And these 2 are already damaged, so Wild Boar of the Sea is off to a good looking start. Okay, perfect. That's time for the Grimace. He's going to have to lock the Grimace before he can expect to hold down any of our other units, because we have these alchemy cards, and that will give the Grimace an extra charge of Purify. That is definitely trouble, however. We don't have a way to remove that either. That's really bad. I think what we have to do, sadly, is we can't use this. We can use the phrase blessing onto a long ship
no insult.
to slowly try to whittle that down, because we can't boost any of our units up, because that card will just crucify us. Now we're gonna Corsair because we don't want to put that boat in the range row. Man, this Kahir is brutal for us. A Purify, ouch. Okay, well fortunately this deck plays very low tempo, so we're not going to be able to get the dagger out. We just have to get the long ship. We're going to end our turn. We really have to get that Kahir off the board, but we're not even going to be able to. We'll be able to get it off before we Wild Boar, so that's good, because we don't want it getting the same boost that the Greatsword gets. But this is a really tricky spot, because we don't have any removal, and we can't boost our units, otherwise we're just going to bury ourselves. Again, this deck is strictly designed to counter the Skellige list that I'm playing, because he's got the ability to steal units, he's got the Asire to get cards out of our graveyard. Okay, he's still going to Kahir. Well, what can you do? We have to do this just to get one of them off the board. Again, 12-point lead. This deck doesn't put a lot of points out on its own. It doesn't have a lot of high-cost cards, especially with him teching for cards like Kahir. So this is not how our deck is supposed to play, but it seems to be working out okay. 12 points is a lot for a Nilfgaard lockdown list to make up with these last two cards, especially when we're going to boar. Oh, of course, he high rolls into a Hemdall, so that's just really good for him. Okay, so unfortunately he's going to get 3 boost on the Kahir, but we are going to get a good amount of damage through on this boat. I can't imagine that he has a way to make that up. That was a pretty good ending play, actually. 15 points. I'm really surprised that we've ended up in this position against this deck that is supposed to counter ours. Roderick, there's no way he makes up 17 points. Looks like we're going to sneak out of this one with the W. Yennefer's Invocation. Yeah, again, there are so many cards to make sure that we can't do our silly combo that we want to pull off, which you didn't get to see in this game, because I would have just ended up beating myself because he would have stolen it, or just got boosts with his Kahir. Okay, well, beautiful. You love to see it.